Hi guys, how are you?
Hey, good
Hey,
thing.
Congratulations on the movie. Stefan, how did you come about and being part of this, directing this?
yeah, I was fortunate enough to get introduced to Nick with this script in hand. Yeah, that was of course. I mean, I'm a big fan of Nick and his work from the beginning. So yeah, when I heard like, all right, Nick's just written his own script and he wants to have a chat with you, yeah, that was perfect. And we and the great thing is we were talking and yeah, immediately felt this sort of connection comedy wise. We already made two films this year just because there's this connection. And that's quite special. So yeah, that's around the moment that I came in.
It's such a like a particular type of horror movie, and I mean these kind of movies really are very much loved, especially in the UK. With we have like a good underground sort of horror fandom. How did you get involved in this?
Yeah, so I actually just auditioned for it. So I got kind of the sides for it through and sent off like a self-tape, and I didn't have the full script at that point. I just had a couple of scenes. So it was kind of, yeah, I'd like lots of unanswered questions, but I could tell me like the writing was amazing and it had like this dark, very dry sense of humor, which is just like what I love. And I love like horror films. So like a horror comedy is kind of like the ideal, really. And yeah, I didn't really know. And then I did a chemistry read with Nick, and Stefan was kind of directing us, and we did it like quite a few ways. But I couldn't really tell because it's so hard to kind of like sense a vibe over because we do it over Zoom. But yeah, I remember doing it and being like, oh God, I really hope I hear back from this one because this feels really fun. And then yeah, I was very fortunate to get to be a part of it, and it's kind of like a genre that I love and love Nick's work, and yeah, felt very lucky.
Sebastian, were you a fan of Nick before working with him?
I
And
was.
yeah,
I was.
tell us more.
Well, obviously, I, like so many people, grew up watching Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, and like so much of Nick's work, and being a big fan. And I've been fortunate enough to work with him a couple of times before this film. We made a film when I was like 15 or 16, which is so different to this film called Horrible Histories. I think I was with Nick in the press junket, and I think we did a Hey You Guys interview for Horrible Histories film. But anyway, cut forward, and we were filming How to Date Billy Walsh, which is a Amazon film. And Nick was telling me about this idea he had for this film, and I was like, "That sounds so cool." And then a few months later, he sent me the script and was so nonchalant about it. It was just like, "Oh, hey, here's like what I've been working on. Have a read." And it was so good. And then I was like, "I really, really would love to be a part of this." And I met Stefan, and we chatted, and yeah, and then we found ourselves all out in Finland, and it's very like just lovely to have someone as talented and uh amazing as Nick also be so generous with kind of saying this is your guys' film as much as it is mine now. Um and it was just a lovely atmosphere on set. But there was definitely a small part of me, and I'm sure Maisie as well, that was like watching Nick and Ashling just be really funny together was like a crazy thing to experience in real life.
Yeah, so can you talk us through the production in Finland and how was that and how what are the difficulties you find in sort of like working with an international cast and an international production company really? Is it getting more difficult since Brexit or is it did you find a way of making this easy?
Um, Yeah, I mean, it was sort of set that we had to shoot it in Finland because of how the budget came along. So, weirdly enough, of course, I mean, this is a movie that plays in Sweden on an island in the sea, and we had to shoot in Finland in an area where there was no coastal line at all, and there were, of course, some lakes, and we had to sort of find
I mean, the logical way would be to find like one island and shoot everything there, but that was not possible. So we had to find for every location, we had to drive somewhere, and needed to, yeah, to stitch this together. And the fun thing about it is that it brings you in other places, and you have to look like a little bit further. And I'm so happy what we got with this way of working. So I think it was a blessing that we had to shoot it in Finland, but it certainly isn't the logical way.
Okay. Maisie, there's a fair bit of, I mean, it's quite a humorous film. It's really funny, but it's also extremely bloody. Are you okay with that kind of stuff? Or did you have to sort of, you know, give yourself some courage to do something like this?
I loved it. I absolutely loved being covered in blood probably more than I thought I would have. I love like horror, so for me, like it was just so exciting to get to kind of be part of a genre that I love to watch. So I was kind of loving getting down in the nitty-gritty of it and seeing how everything worked, like seeing like what went behind, blood spraying in your face, like how they make that come to life was just awesome. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It wasn't a challenge actually. It was just I was like, I only want to ever do films now where I'm covered in blood.
What are your favorite horror movies, you'd say?
Oh my God, so many. I mean, I love Hereditary. That one for me. Just I love Pearl. That's such a good one. I recently watched the original Chainsaw Massacre. I watched it on Halloween. And it was just like there's something about the way that it's filmed and it kind of feels like this like shaky footage. It just feels so much scary than any of the sequels to it. Um, but yeah, and I recently watched Longlegs as well, which I thought was
Ooh, yes.
like the use of sound design in that haunted me. I thought about it, the sounds that come with Longlegs for weeks. But yeah, all horror is just the best.
I guess, Sebastian, I'll ask you the same question. What kind of horror movies are you into, really?
I'm not. I can't do horror films. They scare me. They're so. It's just like I mean, it's not to say I don't watch them, but it's so when we were filming Getaway. We had like te maybe 10 days off. There was like some stuff happened. I think it was COVID related, but anyway, had some unexpected time off, and we weren't sure how long the time off was going to be. A few of my friends came out and stayed in Finland, and we got like a little cottage by one of the lakes, and one night we watched The Terrifier, which
Oh, yeah, yeah.
was like so considering I have never really watched maybe other than like Women in with a Woman in Black when I was like 11 or something. Like I haven't really watched I don't go near horror films. I don't want to be scared. I watched Terrifier and it was just awful. I didn't enjoy watching it and yet I loved watching it. It like unlocked something in me. Um but no, there was some really unsettling stuff in that and then I couldn't sleep that night and then but I get it. Like the feeling of being terrified is somewhat addictive.
I mean, you could have started with something less terrifying as
I
terrifying. I
know.
mean,
I didn't know what it
Terrifier is
was.
In the
one of
name.
yeah, I think it's the most bloodiest, most violent horror movie of the last sort of decade or so.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
it was a big mistake on my behalf.
Um, Talk us through, you guys, about the sort of the feeling around when you were filming in Finland. Did it become like almost like a sort of a holiday or like a camp, like going, sort of, what was it like? Did you all sort of become really firm friends after a while? I'll start with you, Stefan.
Yeah, I mean, it was just great to be around each other all the time. So I mean, we all went abroad in a way. I mean, we worked with a Finnish crew. I mean, I brought some people from the Netherlands, but the main crew was Finnish, and all the case was Finnish, were Finnish, and lots of the actors were Finnish. But of course, the British actors and and me came over there, and we stayed all at this place. We saw each other a lot. So yeah, I mean, I think it was the perfect way. I mean, to get this family vibe happening. Yeah, it was nice.
Stefan, I just want to get one other thing I wanted to ask you. Were you very sort of conscious of not making it too stereotypical? Because I mean, stereotypes in this are like really blatant, but in a quite a humorous way. But were you very sort of determined not to make it sort of stereotypical for the sake of it being stereotypical, but rather that sort of making fun of that kind of genre of horror that plays into stereotypes?
I mean, the movie had to start out like your typical horror movie. So, of course, I was playing with that a lot with the tropes and expectations, and especially considering what is going. I'm not going to spoil anything for it, but what is going to happen in the film. I think it's very important in the beginning to have this classical setup. Um, but yeah, it turns out to be something really different, and that's why you need like an opening like that, or a first half like that. So yeah, it was something I was aware of and was playing around with.
Mm. Maisie, have you seen the film again since filming it, or and have you shown it to your friends and family?
No, do you know what? I've seen it, but I haven't shown it to anyone. So I like watched, yeah, because I got like a secure link to watch it on, and I just watched it. I don't know, because I don't know. I haven't really, obviously, this is my first film I've ever done. So watching myself back, I was kind of like, I wanted to be in like a dark room. I just be able to make sure no one saw it. I don't know. I felt very nervous seeing it. So I think I wanted to watch it for the first time, just by myself. But I couldn't be prouder of it, and I'm very excited for kind of. I know my mum just keeps nagging me, being like, "When am I gonna see it?" And I'm like, "Soon, soon, I promise." But yeah, it was very cool to watch it back, and also to see, because a lot of the scenes like we didn't get to see, like a lot, like anything to do with kind of the Carantan, the play. I got to see that kind of for the first time, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this was all happening. I wish I'd been on set that day. This is awesome. So yeah, it was cool
Well,
to see that.
you were fantastic in this, so you shouldn't worry about that. Sebastian, I'm going to ask you the same question. Have you seen it since? Has your family seen it? And what do they think?
So we were sent a secure link that no one other than us was allowed to watch. We weren't allowed to forward it to anyone. So obviously I got like as many people as I humanly could over to my apartment, put it on my TV screen, and we watched it together. And they loved it. And it was, yeah, it was super. It's I think knowing that I'm not one who in my free time would enjoy horror and blood and all that stuff. Um, Making something where it feels silly and there's like a lightness to it, and as serious as you're taking the work, someone says cut and then you're kind of out of it. Seeing the world and how clear the tone was, and how watching it all the pieces be put together so meticulously, it was really special. And like Maisie said, there were so many bits that we didn't see. Like even in the trailer, there's that bit in the Korantan where you just see the blood like spraying. I was like, that's such a cool shot that I never saw. So no, I'm very excited. And other than my friends who have seen it, I haven't told anyone any of the twists. And I think it's one of those films that if you can, stop watching this video, book your ticket, and go watch it, and then more about it, because
And don't read any reviews, just in case.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. I really loved it. I thought it was very funny, and I'm like a huge fan of Nick anyway. So yeah, loved it so much. Okay, congratulations again.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat
Thank
to
you.
us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey you guys!
Hey, you guys!